One is a luxury cruise ship built for elegance, peace, and perfection. The other is a VIP enclave inside a massive floating city. They both promise high-end cruising without compromise, but after experiencing both, I walked away with a winner and a regret I didn't expect. Hey y'all, I'm Evan with Family at Sea, where we help make every cruise unforgettable. I've sailed in suites more than a dozen times across every major cruise line in the US, but this was my first time putting a true luxury cruise head to head with a suite on a mainstream ship. And the outcome? Well, it left me with a clear winner and one big regret. If you're ready, I am. Let's go. Before we dive in, I want to mention something important. Yes, I am picking a winner in this video, but that doesn't mean it's the right choice for you. This is a personal comparison based on what matters most to me. I've sailed in suites on more than a dozen mainstream cruises, but this was my first time experiencing a true luxury cruise, specifically with Explora Journeys. So that's the lens I'm using to compare the two, and depending on what you value most, your conclusion may be totally different. And honestly, that's the point. The goal here isn't to declare a universal best, it's to help you figure out which one fits your style best. Alright, let's talk pricing and what you're actually getting. If you're lucky and flexible with your timing, you can sometimes find a 7-day cruise for either experience starting around $6,000 for 2 people. And at the other extreme, top-end suites on either can run well over $100,000 for a 7-day sailing, which is absurd. And if you're willing to give up the balcony and go with an interior suite, in MSC's Yacht Club, you can sometimes find a suite for as low as $3,000, which is kind of wild when you think about all of what's included. So what are we actually comparing here? Well, a luxury cruise like Explora Journeys is all in all the time. Every cabin is a suite. Every restaurant except one is included. It's quiet, it's refined, and there's no regular part of the ship. Meanwhile, a suite on a mainstream cruise line like MSC Yacht Club is a ship in a ship model, which means you get a well-appointed suite, an exclusive restaurant, an exclusive pool deck, lounge, and upgraded service, but you're still sailing with thousands of other people, and much of the ship is shared with the general passenger base. On paper, they couldn't be more different, but that's what made it hard. And there was one detail that definitely caught us off guard. It changed the way we see both experiences, so I'll come back to that later, but it's something I haven't stopped thinking about since we got home. On our luxury cruise, we stayed in a residence retreat, which is one of the higher end suites on Explora Journeys, and while it was amazing, I think a more telling comparison would be an ocean terrace suite, since that's what most guests will experience. And in terms of size and layout, they're actually pretty similar to something like a Yacht Club Deluxe suite on MSC or the Haven's Penthouse suites on Norwegian. But the difference is in the details, where a mainstream suite might feel like an enhanced version of a regular stateroom with a larger layout, more comfortable bedding, better lighting, a nicer bathroom, and bigger balcony, and don't forget the stocked minibar. The ocean terrace feels like it was crafted with care from the start. Every suite has a walk-in closet with a seated vanity and a Dyson hairdryer. The bathroom has heated floors that are amazing, and the terrace has a full-size daybed and dining room, not just a couple of chairs squeezed into the space. Even the robes, toiletries, and water bottles feel a step above. So while both categories deliver spacious, well-appointed rooms, the suites you'll find on luxury ships lean more into refinement than wow factor, and that sets the tone for everything else on board, especially the service. And keep in mind, we're only talking about the base level suites here. On both luxury cruises and megaships, there are multiple suite categories, each with their own quirks, perks, and price points. So when you're spending this kind of money, having someone in your corner who actually understands the options can make all the difference. That's why I always book through Cruises It. They don't just sell cruises, they help you book the right cruise, the right ship, the right room, and the right perks, all based on how you actually like to travel. They've helped me avoid some bad fits, landed me deals I wouldn't have found on my own, and their low price guarantee means I'm never overpaying. So if you want to book smarter, click the link in the description below or call the number on the screen and tell them Evan from Family at Sea sent you. You'll be glad you did. If there's one thing luxury cruises absolutely nail, it's the service. Not the hovering over your shoulder kind, but the kind where things just happen without you needing to ask. No hierarchy and no sweet keycard gates, just service that is smooth, intuitive, and consistent across the entire ship. Everyone's treated like a VIP because, well, everyone is. But here's the twist, not everyone loves that. Wait, Evan, is it weird that I kind of like when it feels a little more exclusive, like I paid extra for a reason? It's not weird at all. That's actually a big part of the appeal for a lot of cruisers. On a luxury line, everyone's treated equally well, which is great, but it also means there's no VIP tier. On a mega ship, booking a suite can feel like unlocking a secret level. Private areas, special perks, and service that not everyone around you is getting. And I know for some of you that added layer of exclusivity is part of what makes the vacation feel elevated, and there's nothing wrong with that. On a mainstream ship, you're apart from the whole, and that's separation, the lounge others can't get into, the private sun deck, and the butler who knows your name. Well, that exclusivity feels like luxury to a lot of cruisers. Now, when it comes to actual service delivery, luxury cruises still take the win. It's more refined, more proactive, and doesn't fall apart the moment you leave your designated zone. You're not stepping out of your suite area only to have staff look puzzled when you mention something that comes with your suite package. But suite experiences like MSC's Yacht Club and Celebrities Retreat still feel personalized in a way that works for a lot of people. You've got a dedicated team, familiar faces, and that subtle sense of recognition that makes the entire experience feel elevated, like when they greet you by name every time you pass the concierge desk. It's not perfect. The service is often more reactive than proactive, and it can be inconsistent outside your suite bubble. But when it works, it just feels right. So yeah, luxury wins on polish and consistency, but if you're someone who loves those "this area is just for you" moments, well, a suite on a megaship might actually hit harder, even if it's a little rougher around the edges. Dining is one of those areas where both luxury cruises and mainstream suite experiences bring something genuinely special, but in very different ways. On luxury ships, the entire experience feels elevated from the jump. No loud dining rooms, no awkwardly crammed tables, and definitely no fighting your way through a buffet with a plate in one hand and a Coke Zero in the other. Every venue is calm, the service is polished, and the whole vibe leans more toward boutique hotel than floating food court. And because all the restaurants are included, instead of having to pay extra to eat at specialty restaurants, you'll probably find yourself wanting to try something new each night. That can be exciting, trying new cuisines, new atmospheres, and new menus without paying extra. But it also means you're rarely getting the same service team twice, and there's no real opportunity for them to learn your pace, your preferences, and your quirks. Evan, that's exactly what I love about Lumine and Celebrities Retreat. Our servers felt like part of the family by the end. Yeah. And that's where suite dining on most mainstream cruise lines really shines. You've got a dedicated restaurant like the Yacht Club or Coastal Kitchen, and you're with the same team every night. They learn how you like your steak cooked, your preferred drinks, your dietary needs, and whether you want dinner to last 90 minutes or 45, and they don't need to be reminded. It makes dinner feel less like a process and more like a comfort zone. So it comes down to how you like to eat on vacation. Luxury gives you polish and variety, but less personal connection. Suite life gives you familiar and personalized service, but with fewer included options. And megaships as a whole, they're packed with choices, and sometimes that variety alone feels like a win. Amenities and perks show up differently depending on the type of cruise, but both luxury lines and suite in a suite experiences offer plenty to like. Luxury cruises bundle almost everything into the base fare without flashing it like a perk list. Spa access, gratuities, premium dining, it's all included. Even things you wouldn't think of, like the tender process, feels smoother and stress-free. No chaotic lineups or guessing games, just a calm, organized process that quietly reminds you you're not on a megaship. On mainstream ships, especially in suites like the Yacht Club or the Haven, the perks are more obvious and for a lot of people more satisfying. Priority embarkation, a private restaurant and lounge, upgraded Wi-Fi, free drinks, and often a dedicated pool and sun deck. You see what your money gets you and it feels like an upgrade. It turns a nickel and dime experience into something smoother, even if it's not fully all-inclusive. Entertainment is another area where the contrast really stands out. Luxury ships tend to keep things low-key, intimate lounge acts, jazz trios, maybe a solo pianist or a vocal performance. It's elegant, relaxing, and fits the overall vibe perfectly. But if you're someone who wants jaw-dropping shows or Broadway-level productions, this probably won't scratch that itch. And that's where mainstream ships shine. That's a bit of a tongue twister. We're talking big budget theater shows, full-scale musicals, acrobatic performances, comedy clubs, and game shows that pull in standing room only crowds. The energy is electric, the production value is high, and the lineup changes often enough to keep things fresh. If you want nightlife and spectacle, this is where the big ships deliver it in a way the luxury lines aren't even trying to compete. So whether it's simplicity or exclusivity that matters more, both deliver just in their own way. The overall vibe on a luxury cruise is calm, quiet, and peaceful by design. There's fun to be had if you go looking for it, but it's not going to come find you. Everything moves at a slower, more intentional pace, and for some cruisers, that's exactly the point. Mainstream ships, on the other hand, are more of a choose-your-own energy experience. Inside the suite areas like the yacht club or the retreat, the atmosphere is serene and elevated. But once you step beyond those walls, the energy shifts. Music, games, families, and a whole lot more going on. The demographics reflect that too. Luxury ships tend to skew older, and while Explora Journeys had a more solid mix of multi-generational guests than you'll find on other luxury lines, the majority were still retirement age and up. Suite areas on mainstream ships often feel similar, but as soon as you leave, the generational mix broadens dramatically. For some of you, that may be a great thing, and for others, that may not, but that's the reality. And one other thing to mention there, and this part's personal, but it really stuck with me. In the suite areas on mainstream ships, I meet a lot of really amazing people with incredible stories. Folks who built businesses, doctors, pilots, people who raised families, worked hard for decades, and were now treating themselves to something special. There's humility, humor, and a sense of appreciation for the moment. On our luxury cruise, it felt different. It leaned more toward inherited wealth, with guests who had always cruised this way and weren't shy talking about assets, estates, or what their driver's name was. Less grit and more generational comfort, and that just wasn't something I could really relate to. At the end of the day, it's not about who had the fluffier robe or fancier champagne. The real trade-offs are more practical and honestly more personal. Luxury cruises win on consistency. Every space feels curated, every interaction is polished, and the entire ship operates at the same high standard. You're not navigating crowds or explaining your perks, it's just smooth front to back. But that consistency comes with trade-offs. There's less variety, fewer spontaneous moments, and not much in the way of choose your vibe. If the mood you're in doesn't match the ship's overall energy, well, tough luck. Mainstream cruises, especially with suite access, give you range. You can spend a morning with a cappuccino on a quiet private deck, then hit the water slides in the afternoon and a Broadway production after dinner. The contrast is sharper, the energy swings wider, and with that comes both more chaos and more possibility. It's not about which one is better, it's about which trade-offs you're actually okay with. Because once you strip away the branding, that's all luxury versus suite life really is. Different answers to the same question. What makes a vacation feel worth it to you? Both of these experiences are truly exceptional. One gives you calm, consistency, and that rare feeling that nothing needs fixing because, well, every detail already works. And the other offers variety, energy, and a sense of freedom that makes every day on board feel a little different. And honestly, I would sail either again in a heartbeat. But if I had to choose just one that fits me best, well, for me, it's a suite on a mega ship. Not because the service is better or because the amenities are flashier, because, well, they're not. But because I like having both peace and energy. I like knowing I can step out of a private lounge into something loud, lively, and unpredictable. And I feel more connected to the people I meet, people who've built their lives and now are enjoying the rewards. But here's the part I didn't expect and the regret that comes with it. Now that I know just how seamless luxury can be, I also know I'll never get that same level of service, peace, or refinement on a megaship, even in a suite. And that's the trade-off. That's the part I'll carry with me. It's not regret about one cruise or the other. It's regret about what I now have to give up to stay in the experience that fits me best. There's no perfect answer, and what's right for me isn't necessarily right for you. And that's not even what this video is about anyways. I'm not trying to convince you to like one experience versus the other. My hope is that you'll come away with a better understanding of what each offers so you can decide for yourself which matters most to you. So if you've decided that a suite on a mainstream cruise is the right move, but you're not sure which experience is actually worth it, I've got you covered. In these videos, I break down the yacht club versus the Haven and the yacht club versus the retreat head to head. You'll see how they really compare when it comes to service, perks, exclusivity, and the vibe on board, not just what the marketing says. If you're ready, I am. Let's go.